It is time once again for the main story quest, where the Trinity Bros give you their MMO opinions.
I know, I'm just waiting for something. Time for some Trinity Pro opinions with the Trinity story quest, okay? Sorry, I was just, because I was thinking about everything going on here, right? You guys talk about how much my microphone picks up stuff, and I was thinking, someone's in the kitchen again, it's like, it's
you have
like,
to do it all over again.
It's like, I know I can cut all this out and post my personal, so it's just not a big deal directly, but it's just, oh well, doesn't make a deal. Also, I was thinking about earlier, I had someone follow my channel named Alan Intention, okay? And I'm like, interesting name, okay? And I'm wondering if it's Alan with a different name, Anyway, sorry.
Popular name.
Time for our main story quest, okay? This is where we're going to give you some Trinity Bro opinions, okay? MMO opinions. And today, it's one of the things where it's like, it's not quite a too big to fail. I'm not going there. When is a game too big and too bloated, okay? Like, when is a point in time when you just say, it's got to go? I mean, obviously, we saw World of Warcraft cut back from what was 120 down to 50. Oh, actually, back to 60. So it basically squished everything, and it's so much to do. I mean, they have starting entrance zones where you have like several of them, but then from there you can pick which expansion you want to go in to level up. But it's so much to do. I remember when Dark Age of Camelot started adding on, it's like they had the main world, but you had more, it's like more and more. And it's like, with all the levels and the open world and the quests, okay? Or that's not a bug, but a feature, because guess what? It allows for anybody to get in anytime they want to, whether they want to do groups or solo or explore or do everything. It's just, hey, it's great. It's part of what you want to do. I like the fact that it gives variety. Okay. Now, obviously, if I want to be like one of those top raiders and I go from 0 to, if it's 120 or whatever, it's like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of time in there. But nowadays with leveling, especially in WoW, it's so easy. Not a big deal. To me, it gives a lot more content and variety. The only downside is if you really want to be that top guy or gal and you got so much content to go through, it can look daunting and you want to turn it off. But what percent is that? I don't know. So I think it's kind of a good feature. It's not a bug, but a feature. But that only allows for me to have open world this type of stuff. So SirJahzeal, what do you think? Okay.
Well, again, you came up with a question that you can go at from so many different angles. I think, World of Warcraft is a really good example of something that was just unwieldy. It became an unwieldy beast of a game for a new player to get into. And there's a lot of them that are like that at this point. Elder Scrolls Online has a lot of content going on for it that is just like, what do I... Yeah, sure, they've got this starter area. You've got the starter area, but then once you get out of there, it's like, I'm lost. Where am I supposed to go first? What am I supposed to do first? What's the most important for me to tackle? How do I get to the point where I can play with my friends? And I think that it definitely becomes a problem. If you want to track it down to specifics, like how many expansions does it take to get there, that just depends on how much content there is to do. Dungeons and raids and professions and all those other things that get added over time. I would say, kind of not really dodging the question, but just saying what I think was a great approach to that situation was exactly what Blizzard did with World of Warcraft this time around, that they said, okay, this is what we're going to do. You've got a starter area from 1 to 10. They crunched the levels down to 60 as max in Shadowlands, but they took that 1 to 10 experience and said, okay, we're going to hold your hand. If you choose to do it that way, you could choose to just go and do it the old way. But I wouldn't recommend that for new players. You want to tend through that new experience, that new starting area, and then they go, okay, now you get to pick which era that you want to go through, which expansion that you want to go 10 to 50 through. And there's still some adjustments that could be made there, because I found myself getting to 50 way before I completed that, and supposedly they wanted you to experience the whole expansion, and that wasn't happening with my main or any of my alts. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. A- And that's an issue. That needs to be, in my opinion, that should be fixed. Now I know that probably means slower leveling, which no one's really going to be a fan of, but you should be able to get through that content reasonably, but you should be able to finish it. You should be able to conquer whatever the big baddie is of that expansion and get the full story before you move on to Shadowlands. And that Shadowlands, of course, was level 50 through 60, and that was a pretty good experience. So I think that they're on the right track. They did the right thing. I would like to see some of the other ones that have a plethora of expansions under their belts right now do something similar, because it's so easy to get lost and not know where to go, what to do. For new players. Now, for someone that's been playing MMOs for a long time, you'll probably pick it up and understand what's going on, especially since nowadays we've got YouTube. We can go watch videos. Yeah, they've got beginner's guides all over the place from 1,000 different people that you can watch and whatnot. If you're, you've got the time to do that. Some of them are 3 to 5 hours long, but as far as when is it time to make a change, I think if you've got to listen to your player base, because they'll let you know. They'll let you know when it's getting just crazy, and there's just too much. And World of Warcraft, I keep bringing that up. That is my primary MMO right now, although I go back and forth from ESO to WoW. But it was a big issue, and they knew it. They knew that they needed to do something, or they were not only going to start losing people, they were also not going to be getting new players. And we spoke about this before, that it was like asking people if they wanted a free root canal. When I would tell coworkers or church mates or friends or family, hey, I've been playing WoW for 15, 16 years now. Come play with me. I'd send them the email with the little invite a friend thing, and they were just like, dude, there's there's 120
It's deer in the
levels.
headlights. Yeah, no, deer in the headlights type stuff. It's like,
Right.
well, I mean, yeah, that's the part that I struggle with the most with regards to WoW or any game like this. EverQuest is even older. It's got a lot more stuff, and you're like, deer in the headlight. I don't even want to start EverQuest because like there's just so much there. I don't want to start it. That is a roadblock to me. But again, there are those who wouldn't mind it, and as long as it makes money,
Yeah, and so I would say that you need to be self-aware as well as a developer, but definitely listen to the people. And when you've got and I had gone to the forums and said gave that sentiment that I try to get people to come play it. It is a great game, but there were two things that kept coming up in every conversation that I had with someone that I was trying to invite. And the other one I would say was the subscription fee. A lot of people get turned off by it, but I'm a fan of subscription fee, so and I won't go into that here because that's a totally another subject that we could talk about another day, whether to go buy to play or free to play or whatever. But
yeah,
with shops and whatnot, because there's different games that have successes in all three of those versions as well as massive failures. But and then the other thing was that there was just too much. It's an older game with a lot of expansions and a lot of levels to do, and it was just too much. And I'm really happy to see what Blizzard did there with that, and I think that's the answer. And they've maintained subscriptions since Shadowlands. They picked up a couple million people, supposedly. At least that's what the money is saying. For us that have stock in the company, it looks good. It looks like people are sticking with it so far. And I still have a couple people that I would like to come play with us that are still hung up on the subscription thing, but they do like what they hear about this new leveling crunch, as well as the ability to pick where you want to go and what story you want to hear on your way to Shadowlands.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, Solomon, what do you think? Okay, is there a time when a game is too big and bloated, or it's a great feature? It's not a bug; it's a feature.
When you say bloated, do you mean like it has too much content?
Yeah, like too many levels, too much open world, too many quests. It's just like the deer in the headlight type thing. It can be a barrier to entry for some people. It could be a plus. I said World of Warcraft now has this new thing going on. It's kind of like gives you a lot of content. If you're tired, if you finish up one area, if you're new to World of Warcraft, you finish up one area, there's a ton more to go check out.
So I'm gonna start off with the story, and I promise there's a point to it. I remember when I was back in college, when I was getting my film degree, there was another person that I got to know who was also a pretty avid gamer, such as myself. And the reason why he didn't really get into the Fallout series is because he couldn't stand the fact that there's items in the world that you could pick up, but you shouldn't pick up, like coffee cups or burnt books, and just random features out there. Not features, sorry, items out there in the world.
What do you mean? All that can be turned into something.
And well, okay, you have to understand this is like Fallout 3 days. I don't know if you could. Yeah.
Fallout 4 is I just looted. I thought never mind.
Trash items, in other words.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And you have to understand. So this is like back in like 2010, I want to say, maybe 11-ish. So, but you get the idea. So typically in RPGs, when you have items, it actually had a purpose, and so you ended up hoarding everything that you could pick up because it's like a one-off item, or it's just something that allows you to advance in the game, make progress with the storyline, etc., etc. It actually had so when you actually found something and picked it up, it actually had a significant meaning. And he could have, and so this is a lot of us that kind of came from that sort of background, that sort of experience, where now that you have a game like Fallout 3 that came out, where there's items that just litter the entire area to kind of give it that immersion. Like, he couldn't stand the fact that and it drove him nuts. And so, and the reason why I mentioned that story is because I think that's something that's missing in a lot of MMOs, because a lot of us tend to be completionists when we shouldn't, especially when you play games like Black Desert Online, where there's literally not enough hours in the day to do everything in Black Desert Online. You could do bartering, you could do various life skilling like cooking and gardening, or and just plethora of other things out there, fishing, and then there's PvP, and then there's node wars, and then there's grinding, and then there's and the amount of time and effort it even takes to get endgame gear, especially when you get to like pen level, it's just insane. Like, if you really try to do all that, you wouldn't be getting any sleep whatsoever. And so that's part of the allure, I think. It definitely catered towards a more hardcore demographic, and people like that, or not people like that. There's some people who really like that. Consider us, I guess, masochists. And the only other game that I know that's probably even more hardcore, where you can't do everything, is just literally impossible to do everything, is EVE Online, just because of the learning curve itself. And so I think there's definitely a market for that. But so unless the game itself isn't marketed as a game where it's on a hardcore level like that, yeah, sure, then you might run into problems. You might alienate your audience, your player base, and whatnot. I'm not exactly sure what WoW is trying to do. I haven't really played it for just years and things like that. I don't know if they're really trying to also go for that. Hey, look at all this amazing things that you could do. Don't try to do everything at all, because there's just so much content out there, which in my opinion isn't a bad thing. I would rather you have too much content than too little content. If you had to pick and choose, obviously there's going to be a balance that needs to be established, but where that balance is, I personally don't know, because my taste in MMOs just tend to fluctuate every so often. Um so to answer the question, like, when is the game too bloated? Man, I think that's just way too subjective. I think it just really depends on the player base. I think that's what SirJahzeal alluded to earlier. Sorry, you were gonna say something, Ken?
That's a fair statement. No, I was messing with my microphone. I actually turned myself to off again.
Oh,
No, that's a really good point. I mean, again, that's why this is opinions. I mean, there are arguments on both sides of all this. I've said one level is like, yeah, deer in the headlights. I'm not doing it. Okay. I'm never going to complete it. I'll never catch up. I'll never have world first. I like different things, right? Other side going, oh, wow, I can just immerse myself in this and just run around and try different things and go from here and there. There's no end to content, which means I can just go to spend my time. Like everyone, when I'm streaming, I have this problem called too many games, not enough time. And even people who follow my stream now have been hearing me lamenting the fact that I've been playing WoW at least 2 days a week and I'm behind. And is that a problem? Talking to my son and all, it's like, well, Dad, what is your goal? Okay, you like playing other games. Well, yeah, and you're not immersed. I mean, it's like having fun. Well, yeah. So it's like I like the argument goes to both sides. So I appreciate your guys' comments. You guys both bring up very good points.
really quick though,
Yeah, go ahead.
there's a viewer in the YouTube channel named Pete. I mentioned him before, and I saw his comment in MMO Bytes video, and he was talking about how he's an altaholic, and so he's like completing like all these things in Final Fantasy
Yeah.
14. I'm not exactly sure what he was talking about, because again, I haven't really played Final Fantasy 14 since the original one, pre-reborn. So, but then like apparently like it took a lot of effort to complete everything on every single character on every single, I guess, build or something like that. And yeah, it's like, I don't think that's bloat. I think he just did something that he really wanted to do and complete what he wanted to do. He probably had to sacrifice other, portions of the or aspects of the game rather, in order to complete his goal, or whatever you want to call it. And so yeah, it kind of ties into what you said earlier, Ken, about just like, what do you enjoy doing. And again, if you're a completionist like I used to be, um I get very I get very sad, I get very depressed, because I remember being a completionist in some of the MMOs that like some of the first MMOs that I ever played, and then I think to myself, I wasted so much time. I can't have those hours back. I literally spent
Yeah.
thousands of hours on like Guild Wars 1, and I'm like, dang, I could have like learned how to like trade stock or learn how to do real estate, but nope. I completed this task in a game that has no monetary value, has done nothing for me in my life other than just for bragging rights in the game that I no longer play anymore. So I don't know. That's a different story though. So anyways.
No, that's a fair statement too. I mean, because that's like, again, what is, as a gamer, when I play a game I finished, I remember playing a game called Firewatch. I remember it was a good game, good story, loved it, graphics, everything, and it ended. And one is like, I finished the game. Oh my gosh! Because on my Steam list is filled with games I never finished. Now, MMOs are invariably never-ending games. Okay, the idea they want you to get back in there and do more. Oh, you finished leveling a druid? Why not try a elf? Not a hunter. Okay. Oh, you you've done all the stuff in Alliance, go play Horde. Okay, they want you to do more, and that's why they keep dropping coin like this. It's like other folks, there are a lot of other games want to try out. I mean, like New World's coming up in May, and so I'm off going to do that. Not going to be doing WoW at that point. It's like one of the things like you've got to figure out what you want to do. You're like, what's your priorities? What do you want to do? Where your life is at? Make sure God first. Okay, your spouse second, your kids third. Okay, gaming should definitely be down below that.
Should be. Keyword should be.
I know. I was guilty of doing the wrong things in the past, so I've repented and hopefully I'm doing the right things now. All right.
Me too.
Check out the further adventures of Kennethan by liking and subscribing and watching me live on twitch.tv/Kennethan.